The chamber was enormous. Hyun-woo Kim stood in the center, looking up at the 7 seats that curved around him like the jaws of some massive beast. Each seat held a representative from the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Above him, holographic displays showed Earth a small blue planet that seemed insignificant compared to the empires that ruled thousands of worlds. He had prepared for this day for 3 years. Earth's petition for full membership in the Galactic Council sat in his hand. A small data chip that contained humanity's hopes and dreams. 50 years of probation should have been enough. 50 years of following every rule, paying every tribute, and proving that humans could be trusted. Nari Park stood behind him, her face calm but her hands clasped tight. She had warned him that this might not go well. The other species had always looked down on humanity. But Hyun-woo had hope. He always had hope. The Valkyrie ambassador spoke first. Its body was like a mantis, with 4 arms and eyes that glowed with an unsettling purple light. So the humans come begging again. It clicked, its voice translated through the chamber's systems. Tell me, Ambassador Kim, how many wars did your species fight in the last century? Hyun-woo kept his voice steady. We have had conflicts, yes. But we have learned from them. We have built peace among our own people. And 12 wars. The Valkyrie interrupted, its mandibles clacking with what might have been laughter. 12 separate conflicts in just 100 years, and you call yourselves civilized? The other council members shifted in their seats. The marathon delegate, a being that looked like flowing water held in a vaguely humanoid shape, made a sound like waves crashing. The humans still use projectile weapons. Can you imagine? Metal bullets. We abandoned such primitive tools 3,000 years ago. Our technology may seem simple, Hyun-woo said, but we have proven ourselves capable. Our colonies are thriving. Our people are peaceful. We have contributed to galactic trade, and your longest-lived colonies are barely 80 years old, the Throne Collective representative said. It was a massive crystal structure that pulsed with inner light. We have garden plots older than your entire space program. You are infants playing at being adults. Nari touched Hyun-woo's shoulder gently. A warning, keep calm, don't react. But the council was not finished. Let us review the human petition, the Valkyrie said. And suddenly the chamber filled with images. Battlefields from Earth's history. Explosions. Soldiers dying. Cities burning. This is what humans do. They fight. They kill. They destroy. Even now, with all your talk of peace, you maintain the largest military fleet of any probationary species. We maintain it for defense, Hyun-woo said. His jaw was tight now. The galaxy is not always safe. Defense? The Valkyrie's laugh was like glass breaking. You have weapons pointed at every major trade route. You build warships faster than colony vessels. You teach your children about warfare in their schools. What kind of species does that? A species that remembers its mistakes, Hyun-woo said quietly. We teach history so we don't repeat it. You teach violence so you can glorify it, the Marithan delegate said. We have seen your entertainment broadcasts. Movies celebrating soldiers. Stories about wars. You are obsessed with death and destruction. The council chamber filled with more images. Human soldiers in combat. Explosions from human weapons tests. Footage of Earth's various military forces training. It was all taken out of context. All designed to make humanity look savage and brutal. We remember our past because it teaches us to value peace, Hyun-woo said. He was struggling to keep his voice level now. Every species here has fought wars. Every civilization has made mistakes. But we evolved beyond them, the Throne Collective said. You wallow in your barbarism. You celebrate it. You are not ready for this council. Perhaps you will never be ready. Nari could see Hyun-woo's hands shaking slightly. Not from fear. From anger held so tightly it had nowhere to go. The Valkyrie leaned forward. The council has made its decision. Earth's petition for full membership is denied. We recommend another 100 years of probationary status. Perhaps by then, You will have learned to be civilized. The other delegates made sounds of agreement. Some actually laughed. Furthermore, the Velkari continued, Earth will be assigned special duties at the next Galactic Summit. Your people will handle waste management and cleaning services. It is work suited to your current level of development. The chamber echoed with the sounds of alien amusement. They were treating humanity like children. No like servants. Like things beneath notice. Hyunwoo stood perfectly still. His face showed nothing. He had been a soldier before he became a diplomat, and soldiers knew how to hide their feelings. The council has spoken, the Velkari said, waving a clawed hand dismissively. You may leave, human. Hyunwoo bowed slightly. It was the proper protocol. Then he turned and walked toward the exit, with Nari beside him. Behind them, the council members were already discussing other business, as if humanity had never been there at all. The doors closed behind them with a heavy sound. They walked down the long corridor in silence. Nari kept glancing at Hyunwoo, concerned. He was too calm, too quiet. She had expected anger, maybe even an outburst. But this stillness was somehow worse. Sir, she said softly. Are you all right? Hyunwoo stopped walking. He stared at the wall for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, colder. Get me secure communications with Earth Command. All channels. Priority. Alpha. Oh, sir. He turned to look at her. His eyes were hard as stone. They had 50 years to accept us as equals. 50 years to see that we were offering genuine friendship. They chose mockery instead. What are you going to do? I'm going to give them an education, Hyunwoo said. They think we're primitive because we remember our wars. They think we're weak because we value peace. They're about to learn the difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war. Nari felt a chill run down her spine. Sir, I'm talking about showing them what humanity really is, Hyunwoo said. They wanted to see our history? Fine. Let's show them exactly what we learned from it. He started walking again, faster now. Contact Admiral Choi. Tell him to activate Protocol Reckoning. Contact Dr. Song and tell her the Black Box Initiative is now operational. And get me Director Kang. It's time. Our sleeping agents woke up. Nari followed him, her heart pounding. Protocol Reckoning. She had heard rumors about it. Whispers in the dark corners of Earth Command. A plan so extreme that even mentioning it was considered treason. They're going to regret this, Hyunwoo said softly. The council thinks we're children playing with toys. They're about to learn that humanity grew up a long time ago. We just chose not to show it. The door to their ship slid open. Hyunwoo paused at the threshold and looked back at the massive council station one last time. It's time they learned what happens when you humiliate someone who chose mercy over violence, he said. They're about to discover that the most dangerous warrior is the one who didn't want to fight. The door closed behind them, and the ship's engines began to hum with power. Destination. Earth. Purpose. War. The bunker sat 300 meters below the surface in Geneva. Hyunwoo walked down the stairs with Nari following close behind. Armed guards stood at every checkpoint, scanning their credentials multiple times. This place didn't officially exist. Most people on Earth didn't know it was here. Admiral Tae-min Choi was waiting in the command center. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. Around him, holographic displays showed star maps, ship positions, and tactical data that would have made the Galactic Council very nervous if they knew it existed. Ambassador, Tae-min said, nodding. I saw the broadcast. They really did it. They laughed at us, Hyunwoo said quietly. They assigned us to clean their toilets at the next summit. Then I guess it's time. Tae-min touched a panel, and the room sealed. Security fields activated, blocking any possible surveillance. How much do you want to authorize? Everything, Hyunwoo said. Show me what we've really built. The displays changed. Suddenly the maps were filled with red dots. human ships that the Council didn't know existed. Weapons, platforms hidden in asteroid fields, research stations tucked away in nebulae where sensors couldn't reach, an entire shadow military that had been building for decades. Dr. Yuna Song stepped forward from where she'd been, standing in the shadows. She was young, maybe 35, but her eyes held the intensity of someone who had unlocked secrets that could reshape the galaxy. Project Black Box has been waiting for this moment, she said. We've developed weapons systems that the Council has never seen. Technology they don't even know is possible. She gestured, and the displays shifted to show schematics. Quantum disruption torpedoes that phase through shields. AI-guided swarm fighters that can think faster than any organic pilot. Biological tailored agents for every Council species, non-lethal, but completely incapacitating. And our FTL drives are now 2 full generations ahead of anything the Council uses. How? Nari asked, staring at the data. How did we keep this secret? Colonel Jin-Ho Lee spoke up from his position near the wall. He was compact and muscular, with scars on his hands from operations nobody talked about. We used their arrogance against them. They thought we were primitive, so they didn't look too closely. We showed them simple ships and old technology while building the real fleet in the shadows. Haewon Kang, the intelligence director, smiled coldly. And we have agents in every Council government. Deep cover operatives who have been in place for decades. They're so convinced that humans are simple-minded that they never suspected the janitors, the clerks, the low-level staff. We know everything about them. Their military codes, their strategic plans, their political weaknesses. Hyun-woo looked at the assembled leaders of Earth's true military might. Show me the war plan. Admiral Tae-min pulled up a massive tactical display. It showed the entire Council space, with targets marked in red. Operation Reckoning. Simultaneous strikes on 40 Council core worlds. We hit their military infrastructure, their communication networks, and their command centers. All at once. Before they can even understand what's happening. Civilian casualties? Hyun-woo asked. 0, Jin-Ho said firmly. Every strike is surgical. We've mapped every target down to the meter. Military only. No civilian infrastructure unless it's dual use. And even then we have protocols. This isn't about slaughter. It's about breaking their ability to wage war. Dr. Yuna added, we can disable their entire defensive grid in the first 30 minutes. Our quantum disruptors will make their shields useless. Their ships will be sitting targets. How long to achieve tactical superiority? Hyun-woo asked. 12 hours, Tae-min said. Maybe less. We've been positioning ships for 6 months. They think our fleet is in our home systems. Actually, we have strike forces within jumping distance of every major Council world. We just need the order. Nari was looking at the projections with wide eyes. This is insane. We're talking about attacking the 7 most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. 6, Haewon corrected. The Raytheon Principality will stay neutral. My agents confirm they're tired of Council arrogance too. They'll sit this out. And you're sure we can win? Nari asked. We already won, Doctor, Yuna said. The Council has been fighting the same way for 1,000 years. They're comfortable. Predictable. They've never faced an opponent who studied them the way we have. We know their tactics better than they do. Hyun-woo walked to the star map and stared at it for a long moment. He thought about the Council chamber. The laughter. The dismissive waves. The utter contempt in their voices. They called us barbarians, he said softly. They said we celebrate war. We do remember it, Tae-min said. That's different. Is it? Hyun-woo turned to face them. We're about to unleash the most coordinated military strike in galactic history. We're going to cripple 7 civilizations in a single day. Doesn't that make us exactly what they said we are? The room was silent. No, Jin-Ho said finally. Because we're not doing this for conquest. We're not doing this for resources or slaves or glory. We're doing this because they need to learn that peace is a choice, not a weakness. They need to understand that we've been holding back, not because we couldn't fight, but because we didn't want to. And after? Nari asked. After we've won this war in 12 hours, what then? Then we show them what humanity really learned from all those wars they mocked us for, Hyunwoo said. We learned how to rebuild, how to turn enemies into allies, how to make peace stronger than war. He looked at each of them in turn. I want minimal casualties. I want precision strikes only. And the moment we have tactical superiority, I want humanitarian aid ready to deploy. Food, medical supplies, reconstruction materials. We're going to hit them so hard they can't fight back, and then we're going to help them rebuild better than before. That's not how conquests usually work, Haewon said. We're not conquering, Hyunwoo said. We're teaching. The council thinks might makes right. We're going to show them that mercy makes right. But first, they need to understand just how much mercy we've been showing them all along. Admiral Taemin straightened. So, we have authorization for Operation Reckoning? Hyunwoo thought about those 50 years. 50 years of humanity being patient, being humble, following every rule, accepting every insult, hoping that eventually the council would see them as equals. And today, they'd been told to clean toilets. Yes, he said, full authorization, but I want one thing first. Sir, send them a message, Hyunwoo said. Direct to the council. Tell them they had 50 years to accept us in peace. Tell them they chose humiliation instead. Tell them that now they're going to learn what humanity has been trying not to show them. What's that? Nari asked. Hyunwoo's expression was cold. That we remember every war we ever fought, every battle, every tactic, every hard lesson written in blood and fire. And we learned from all of it. The council wanted to see our history. We're about to give them a demonstration they'll never forget. He turned back to the star map. Activate all units. Begin Operation Reckoning in 72 hours. That gives us time to position everyone perfectly. And it gives the council 3 days to wonder what's coming. 3 days of fear, Taemin said. 3 days to understand that the most dangerous opponent is the one who tried not to be, Hyunwoo said. They wanted war. Now they'll get it. And then they'll get something they never expected. What's that? Dr. Yuna asked. Peace, Hyunwoo said. Real peace. The kind that comes from mutual respect, not fear. But first, we have to earn that respect. And unfortunately, the only language they understand is force. The command was given. Deep in space, human ships began to move. Agents activated. Weapons powered up. Humanity prepared to show the galaxy what it truly was. And the council had no idea what was coming. The Velkari homeworld hung in space like a jewel, its 3 moons creating patterns of light across the planet's purple oceans. Defense platforms orbited in perfect formation. And the Velkari fleet, 200 warships strong, patrolled the system in shifts that hadn't changed in centuries. Commander Borahan watched from the bridge of her ship, hidden just outside sensor range. Around her, 50 human vessels waited in absolute silence. They had been here for 2 weeks. Using stealth technology the council didn't know existed. 5 minutes to hour 0, her tactical officer said quietly. Boran nodded. She had memorized every detail of this attack. Every ship had specific targets. Every weapon had been calibrated perfectly. This had to be clean, precise, a demonstration of capability, not cruelty. All ships report ready, her communications officer said. Bo-Ra took a breath. On 40 worlds across council space, human commanders were having this exact same moment, the same pause before violence, the same knowledge that everything was about to change. Execute, she said. Her ships dropped stealth and fired in the same instant. Quantum torpedoes crossed the distance at speeds the Velkari sensors couldn't track. They hit shields that had protected the homeworld for 300 years. And those shields simply vanished. The quantum disruption effect spread through the Velkari defensive grid like a virus. In 7 seconds, every shield generator in the system failed. Backup systems activated automatically and failed just as fast. The Velkari had never encountered weapons like this. The second wave hit before they could react. Swarm fighters, thousands of them, each one controlled by an AI that could make decisions in microseconds. They flowed through the Velkari fleet like water through a net, targeting weapons systems, engines, communication arrays. Not killing, disabling. Velkari ships tried to return fire. Their weapons were powerful, designed to crack planets. But the human ships moved like dancers, anticipating every shot before it was fired. HFY's intelligence had given them complete tactical data. They knew Velkari doctrine better than the Velkari did. Homeworld Defense Fleet neutralized, Bora's tactical officer reported. 94% disabled, 6% retreating. 0 casualties on either side. Target the orbital platforms, Bora ordered. Precision strikes only. Across the system, the same story played out. The Marathon Federation's water world found its oceanic defense systems drained of power. The Throne Collective's crystalline network went dark as human hackers, AI-assisted and frighteningly effective, shut down their hive-mind communications. World after world. The Council's military strength simply stopped. On Convergence Prime, the neutral space station where the Council met, Captain Seung-ho Park led his team through corridors that should have been impossible to access. HFY's agents had given them every security code, every guard rotation, every blind spot in the sensor net. They moved in silence, their armor adapting to match the walls. The Council delegates were in an emergency session, trying to understand what was happening. Reports were flooding in from across their territory. Human attacks. Simultaneous. Overwhelming. Seal the chamber, Seung-ho ordered. His team moved with practiced efficiency. Magnetic locks engaged on every door. Energy barriers activated. The Council was trapped. Not as prisoners exactly, but as witnesses. They needed to see what came next. Admiral Taemin Choi sat in Earth Command, watching 40 different battles unfold at once. Every screen showed the same pattern. Human forces appearing out of nowhere. Council defenses failing. Ships disabled. Infrastructure offline. And not a single civilian casualty. 12 minutes since hour 0, an officer reported. We have tactical superiority in 38 of 40 target systems. The remaining 2 will be secure in 7 minutes. Casualties? Taemin asked. Our forces, 0. Council military, 412 injured, mostly minor. Civilian, 0. 0, Taemin nodded. That was the goal. Show overwhelming force but perfect control. Prove that humanity could destroy them, but chose not to. Sir, the Council is trying to transmit surrender terms. Ignore them, Taemin said. Continue operations. On the Velkari homeworld, their military command was in chaos. They sent 3 separate counterattacks. Each one was intercepted and neutralized before it could reach human ships. It was like fighting ghosts who could read minds. How are they doing this? The Velkari admiral shouted at his staff. How do they know every move before we make it? One of his officers pulled up data, his hands shaking. Sir, I think they've been planning this for decades. Every tactical weakness we have, they've mapped. Every protocol we follow, they've studied. They know us better than we know ourselves. The admiral stared at the screens. Human ships moved with perfect coordination. Their weapons never missed. Their defenses never failed. This wasn't just superior technology. This was superior preparation. Superior intelligence. Superior everything. We called them primitive, he said softly. Dr. Yuna Song was in her lab, monitoring the quantum disruption effect. It was spreading exactly as predicted, creating cascading failures in Council shield technology across the galaxy. And the beautiful part, it was completely reversible. The moment they wanted to, they could restore everything. Ma'am, the Throne Collective is attempting to adapt their shields, a technician reported. Yuna smiled. Let them try. We've got 17 generations of countermeasures ready. Every adaptation they make, we've already planned for. That was the secret. While the Council had been comfortable and complacent, humanity had been obsessing, studying, learning, preparing for a war they hoped would never come but knew might be necessary. On the bridge of her ship, Bo-Ra watched as the last Velkari resistance crumbled. The planet lay below, completely defenseless. She could bombard it from orbit. She could demand unconditional surrender. She could do anything. Instead, she opened a channel to the surface. Velkari Command. This is Commander Bo-Ra Han of Earth Forces. Your military capability has been neutralized. We have no desire for further conflict. Stand down and await instructions. There was a long silence. Then, you could destroy us. Yes, Bo-Ra said simply. Then why don't you? Because we're not conquerors, Bo-Ra said. We're teachers. You're about to learn the difference. Back on Convergence Prime, the Council sat in their sealed chamber, watching broadcasts from their homeworlds. The Velkari delegates' purple eyes were wide with shock. The Marathon's watery form was literally trembling. The Throne Collective's crystal structure pulsed erratically. 12 hours. Hyun-Woo's voice came over every speaker in the chamber. He was broadcasting to them directly. That's how long it took us to neutralize your military forces across 40 worlds. 12 hours to do what you said we could never do. The holographic display showed human ships in orbit over every Council homeworld. Defense grids down. Fleets disabled. Command structures in chaos. You called us barbarians, Hyun-Woo continued. You said we glorified war. You were wrong. We study war. We remember war. Because we never want to forget how terrible it is. And that study? That memory? It made us very, very good at it. The Velkari delegate found his voice. You've proven your point. We surrender. You don't get to surrender, Hyun-Woo said coldly. Not yet. First, you're going to sit there and watch what happens next. You're going to see what humanity learned from all those wars you mocked us for. New images filled the displays, human ships launching landing craft, but not troops, supply pods, medical equipment, food, construction materials. We learned that winning the war is the easy part, Hyun-Woo said. We learned that what matters is winning the peace. So yes, we've conquered your worlds. And now we're going to rebuild them. Better than they were. And you're going to watch every second of it and understand what you could have had if you'd just treated us as equals. The Council sat in stunned silence. Welcome to the human way of war, Hyun-Woo said. We break things that need breaking, and then we fix them properly. You wanted to see our history? This is what we learned from it. Power without mercy is tyranny. But mercy without power is weakness. We have both. Admiral Tae-min's flagship appeared in orbit above Convergence Prime, its weapons trained on the station. Not threatening. Just present. A reminder. Hour 0 plus 12, the Admiral said into the communications channel. Operation Reckoning is complete. All objectives achieved. Council military capacity reduced by 73%. Human casualties, 0. Council military casualties, minimal. Council civilian casualties, 0. He paused. The Council called us primitive. Said we weren't ready to join civilized society. We've spent 12 hours proving we could destroy civilized society if we wanted to. Now we're going to spend the next year proving we don't want to. The galaxy had changed. And the Council was only beginning to understand how much. 3 weeks after Hour 0, the Velkari homeworld looked different. Human engineers worked alongside Velkari technicians, rebuilding the defense platforms that had been disabled. But the new platforms were different. Better, using shared technology that made them twice as effective and half as expensive to maintain. A young Velkari worker named Dal approached one of the human engineers cautiously. Humans were everywhere now, but they didn't act like conquerors. They didn't swagger or threaten. They just worked. Why are you helping us? Dal asked. You destroyed our fleet. You could take whatever you want. 1. The engineer, a woman named Mi-sun, looked up from her work. Because that's what you do after a war. You rebuild. You make things better. But we're your enemies. You were our enemies for 12 hours. Mi-sun said. Now you're our students. Big difference. Across council space, similar scenes played out. Human occupation forces had taken control of military installations and government buildings, but they ran them with strange efficiency. Hospitals that had been struggling were suddenly getting medicine. Food distribution that had been corrupt was now transparent. Infrastructure that had been failing was being upgraded. The civilian populations were confused. This wasn't how occupation was supposed to work. Ki Jun-yoon arrived at Convergence Prime with a small delegation. He was Earth's oldest diplomat, over 80 years old. With white hair and eyes that had seen humanity rise from the ashes of its worst wars, he was here to write the new galactic order. The council delegates were still in the station, no longer imprisoned but not free to leave either. They sat in a conference room that had been converted into a negotiation chamber. Hyun-woo sat across from them, with Nari and Ki-jun flanking him. Gentlemen, ladies, and beings of varied designation, Ki-jun said in a gentle voice. We're here to discuss the future. You mean our surrender? The Valkyrie delegate said bitterly. No. Ki-jun said. I mean partnership. Surrender implies we want to rule you. We don't. We want to teach you. Teach us what? The marathon representative asked, its watery form rippling with confusion. How to build something better than what you had, Hyun-woo said. Your council was corrupt, inefficient. Based on who had the most military power, not who had the best ideas. We're going to help you build something that actually works. He pulled up holographic displays showing the new galactic charter. Equal representation. Democratic decision-making. Transparent processes. Rights for all species. This is insane, the Throne Collective said. You're the victors. You could impose any terms you want. Why offer equality? Because we learned something from our history, Nari said. Every time a victor tried to dominate the defeated, it just created the next war. The only way to have real peace is real equality. On the Valkyrie homeworld, Colonel Jinho Lee was dealing with resistance fighters. A group of young Valkyrie had attacked a human supply depot, stealing medical equipment. His soldiers had captured them easily. Now Jinho stood in front of them. They glared at him with hatred, expecting execution or torture. Why did you steal medical supplies? Jinho asked. Because you're occupiers. One of them spat. We won't cooperate with you. The supplies were going to a Valkyrie hospital, Jinho said. For Valkyrie civilians. You just stole from your own people. The young Valkyrie looked confused. But, you're enemies. We were enemies for half a day, Jinho said. Then the fighting stopped. Now we're rebuilding. Those supplies were donated by Earth's Medical Corps. Free. For anyone who needs them. He gestured to his soldiers. Let them go. Sir? One of his soldiers asked. Let them go, Jinho repeated. And give them their medical supplies back. Show them which hospital was supposed to receive them. Let them deliver it themselves. The Valkyrie resistance fighters stared at him in shock. You're not going to punish us? You made a mistake based on wrong assumptions. Jinho said. Now you know better. Go help your people. That's what matters. Word of incidents like this spread across the occupied worlds. The humans were strange. They were powerful beyond measure, they'd proven that, but they used that power in unexpected ways. Nari Park was running cultural exchange programs. Council species were required to study human history. At first, they expected propaganda. Instead, they got the truth. All of it. A class of marathon students watched footage of Earth's World War II. The destruction. The death camps. The nuclear weapons. They were horrified. You did this to yourselves? One asked. Yes, Nari said quietly. And then we had to figure out how to make sure it never happened again. That's why we study history. Not to glorify it, to learn from it. She showed them the aftermath. The Marshall Plan, where America rebuilt its defeated enemies. The formation of the United Nations. The slow, painful process of turning enemies into allies. This is what we learned, Nari said. That victory means nothing if you don't build a better peace. Your council defeated enemies by grinding them into dust. We defeat enemies by turning them into friends. The Marithan students were silent, processing this. Back at Convergence Prime, the Velkari ambassador asked to speak with Hyunwoo privately. They met in a small conference room, just the two of them. I mocked you, the Velkari said quietly. I called your species barbarians. I laughed when you asked to join the council. Yes, Hyunwoo said. You did. I was wrong. Yes, Hyunwoo said. You were. The Velkari's mandibles clicked nervously. What you've done to our world. The rebuilding. The improvements. The medicine. Why? Hyunwoo leaned forward. After our worst war, we had a choice. We could have crushed our enemies completely, made them suffer the way they made us suffer. Instead, we helped them rebuild. We shared our wealth. We offered partnership. Why? Because hatred breeds hatred, Hyunwoo said. Violence breeds violence. The only way to break the cycle is to offer something different. We broke your military because you wouldn't listen to words. Now we're rebuilding your world because we want you to understand what peace actually means. The Velkari was quiet for a long moment. On behalf of my people, I offer formal apology. We judged you incorrectly. Apology accepted, Hyunwoo said. Now let's work together to build something better. Dr. Yuna Song was sharing technology with council scientists. Things that Earth had developed in secret were now being offered freely. Advanced medical treatments, efficient power generation, agricultural improvements. A Throne Collective scientist approached her, its crystal structure pulsing with confusion. Why share this? You could have kept these advantages. Because a rising tide lifts all boats, Yuna said. If everyone is prosperous, everyone is safer. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to live in a galaxy worth living in. Haewon Kang's intelligence network had shifted purposes entirely. Instead of spying for military advantage, they now monitored for disasters and conflicts before they started. When a famine threatened a Marathon colony world, human ships arrived with food before anyone even asked. How did you know? The local governor asked in wonder. We were paying attention, the ship captain said simply. That's what partners do. 6 months into the occupation, something strange happened. A minor species, the Korvathi, who had always been bullied by the council, sent a delegation to Earth. They asked to join the new order, not as subjects, as equals. Hyunwoo met with them personally. We haven't even finalized the new charter yet. We know, the Korvathi ambassador said. But we've watched what you did. You had the power to conquer the entire galaxy. Instead, you chose to heal it. That's the kind of civilization we want to be part of. Within weeks, 3 more species joined. Then 7, then 15. Minor species who had always lived in fear of the Council's power saw something different in humanity. A chance for real equality. The former Council members watched this in amazement. They had spent millennia building their power through fear and domination. Humanity had spent 6 months building something stronger through compassion and fairness. Ki Junyun worked day and night on the new Galactic Charter. Every species had input, every voice was heard. It was messy and complicated and took forever to argue through. And it was beautiful. This is what democracy looks like, Ki-jun said during one particularly heated debate. Messy, loud, frustrating. But everyone gets a voice. That's the point. 1 year after Hour Zero, the occupation officially ended. Human military forces withdrew from Council worlds. The new defense platforms were handed over to Joint Command. The hospitals, schools, and infrastructure humanity had built were given to local control. The Velkari watched human ships leave orbit with mixed feelings. They could have stayed, Dahl said to his supervisor. They could have kept control. That's why they're leaving, Misun said, packing her tools. They never wanted control. They wanted change. And now they've got it. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Power without wisdom led to the old council. Wisdom without power led to being ignored. But power and wisdom together? That could change everything. Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his ship, heading back to Earth. Nari approached him. Do you think it will last? This peace? No. Hyunwoo said honestly. There will be challenges, conflicts, problems. But now we face them together. As equals. That's the difference. The new Galactic Council would convene in 1 month. On Earth. With every species represented equally. The galaxy was ready to begin again. The new Galactic Council chamber floated in orbit above Earth. A massive station built from materials donated by 40 different species. Its design incorporated architectural elements from every civilization, crystalline structures from the Throne Collective, flowing water channels from the Marithans, geometric patterns from the Velkari. It was beautiful and strange and perfectly represented what it was meant to be. A place where differences were celebrated, not feared. Hyunwoo walked through the main hall with Nari beside him. She was no longer his advisor. She was now the Secretary General of the Galactic Council, chosen by vote from all member species. The fact that she was human had been controversial at first, but her fairness during the transition had earned widespread respect. Nervous? Hyunwoo asked. Terrified, Nari admitted. We're about to open the first session of the new council. 300 species represented. All with equal voices. This could be chaos. Democracy usually is, Hyunwoo said with a slight smile. That's how you know it's working. They entered the main chamber. It was enormous, with seating arranged in concentric circles so that no one was above or below anyone else. Delegates from across the galaxy were already arriving. Species that had fought each other for centuries sat side by side, talking cautiously but talking nonetheless. Admiral Taemin Choi stood near the observation deck, watching the arrivals. He wore a civilian suit now. Not his military uniform. His job was done. The new joint peacekeeping force with members from dozens of species had replaced the need for Earth's military dominance. Strange, isn't it? Colonel Jinho said, joining him. A year ago, we were at war. Now look at this. That was always the plan, Taemin said. War for 12 hours, peace for millennia. We held up our end. Jinho nodded. He now commanded the Joint Special Forces Unit, a team of humans. Velkari, Marathons, and others who trained together to prevent conflicts before they started. They'd already stopped 3 potential wars through early intervention and negotiation. Dr. Yuna Song sat in the science section with representatives from 20 different species. They were working on a joint research initiative to develop faster-than-light communication that would work across the entire galaxy. The technology sharing that had started during the occupation had accelerated beyond anyone's expectations. A young Velkari scientist named Dal, the same one who had questioned Mi-sun a year ago, was presenting findings on quantum field theory. His work built on both Velkari and human research, combining the best of both civilizations. This is what we should have been doing all along, an older Velkari researcher said to Yuna, collaborating instead of competing. Better late than never, Yuna said with a smile. In a quiet corner of the station, the former Velkari ambassador met with Hyunwoo. The insectoid being moved differently now, less aggressive, more thoughtful. I wanted to thank you, the Velkari said, for what happened on my homeworld. We only did what was necessary, Hyunwoo said. No, the Velkari insisted. You did what was right. When the resistance tried to attack your supply depot, your Colonel Jinho could have crushed them. Instead, he showed them mercy, taught them. My nephew was one of those fighters. Is he here? Hyunwoo asked. The Velkari gestured across the room. A young Velkari in a council aide uniform was helping to organize seating arrangements, working efficiently alongside humans and other species. He's studying human history now, the Velkari said. Particularly your world wars, and how you rebuilt afterwards. He says he wants to help make sure the mistakes of our past don't become our future. That's why we teach it, Hyunwoo said. Not to glorify war, but to make sure we remember the cost of it. Haewon Kang was briefing the new council security team. Her intelligence network had been completely reorganized. Instead of spying on potential enemies, they now monitored for humanitarian crises, natural disasters, and emerging conflicts that could be resolved through mediation. The Korvathi mining colony is showing signs of resource depletion, she reported. We should offer assistance before it becomes a crisis. A Marathon security officer nodded. I'll coordinate with their government. We have water purification technology that might help. This was the new normal. Problems were shared. Solutions were collaborative. The strong helped the weak, not out of pity but out of recognition that everyone was stronger together. The session was about to begin. Nari stood at the central podium, looking out at hundreds of faces, some humanoid, some decidedly not. Beings of crystal and water and chitin and flesh, all here for the same purpose. Distinguished delegates. She began. Welcome to the first session of the Galactic Council. We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, not as strong and weak, but as equals, different species with different perspectives, but equal voices in deciding our shared future. The chamber was silent, attentive. A year ago, we were at war. Nari continued. A war that lasted 12 hours but changed everything. Earth demonstrated its military power, yes. But more importantly, we demonstrated our commitment to peace, not peace through domination. Peace through partnership. She gestured to the assembled delegates. Every species here has contributed to building this station. Every civilization here has shared knowledge and resources. We've begun to see each other not as threats but as teachers. Not as enemies but as potential friends. A Throne Collective representative stood. Secretary General, many of us wonder, why? Humanity had the power to rule the galaxy. Why choose this instead? Nari looked at Hyun-woo, who nodded slightly. She had asked him the same question a year ago. Because we learned from our mistakes, Nari said. Earth's history is full of empires that rose through military might and fell because they ruled through fear. We studied those empires. We learned that lasting peace can't be imposed. It has to be built together. She pulled up images on the main display. The Marshall Plan. The United Nations. The European Union. Humanity's painful journey from constant warfare to stable peace. We fought each other for thousands of years, Nari said. We built weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We came very close to using them. And then we made a choice. We chose to learn from that darkness, to study it, understand it, and build something better. A Marathon delegate spoke up. And you believe we can do the same? All of us together? We know you can, Hyun-woo said, standing. Because we've seen it this past year. Former enemies working together. Species that never spoke, now collaborating on research. Civilizations that fought for resources, now sharing them freely. You've already begun. The chamber filled with murmurs of agreement. Ki Jun-yoon stepped forward, leaning on his cane. At 83, he was the oldest human in the chamber. And his presence commanded respect. I'm going to propose something radical, he said. A doctrine that should guide everything we do here. We're calling it the Humanity Doctrine. Not because we invented it, but because we learned it through hard experience. He pulled up text on the displays. Simple words that would reshape galactic civilization. Peace through strength. Victory through mercy. Always vigilant. Never cruel. Forever learning. What does it mean? A young delegate asked. It means we maintain the ability to defend ourselves, Ki-jun explained. But we use that strength to protect, not to dominate. It means, when we win, we help the defeated rise again. It means we stay alert for threats but don't become the threat ourselves. It means we keep learning from our mistakes so we don't repeat them. The chamber debated for hours. Some species worried it was too idealistic. Others thought it didn't go far enough. But gradually, through discussion and compromise, the doctrine was refined and eventually adopted. The vote was 300-0, unanimous. As the session concluded, delegates mingled in the reception area. Species that had barely known each other a year ago now exchanged ideas and formed friendships. The change wasn't complete, there were still tensions, still misunderstandings, but the trajectory was clear. Hyun-woo found himself standing with the former council members. The Velkari, the Marathons, the Throne Collective. Those who had mocked Earth in that chamber a year ago. I owe you an apology, the Valkyrie said. We all do. We were arrogant. We thought military power meant we were superior. We were wrong. You weren't completely wrong, Hyunwoo said. You were right that humanity remembered our wars. You were right that we studied conflict. You just misunderstood why. You studied it to prevent it, the Marathon said. Exactly, Hyunwoo said. Every species here has fought wars. Every civilization has made mistakes. The question isn't whether you made them. It's whether you learned from them. Later that evening, Hyunwoo stood on an observation deck, looking down at Earth. The blue planet that had been ridiculed now served as the symbol of the new galactic order, not because it was superior, but because it had been willing to share both its strength and its wisdom. Nari joined him. Do you think it will last? She asked. All of this? No, Hyunwoo said honestly. There will be challenges. Some species will resist change. There will be conflicts and disagreements, and probably a few crises. Then why look so peaceful? Hyunwoo smiled. Because for the first time in galactic history, we're facing those challenges together. Not as subjects and rulers, but as partners. That's worth everything we went through. He gestured to the station around them. This place will see arguments. Maybe even fights. But they'll be the kind of fights that families have. Not the kind that enemies have. And that difference? That's everything. Neri leaned against the railing. The council called us barbarians, said we glorified war, said we weren't civilized. They were half right, Hyunwoo said. We aren't civilized the way they were. We're civilized in a new way. A better way. We remember violence, so we can choose peace. We study war, so we can prevent it. We build weapons so we never have to use them. And when we do use them, we use them to protect and to teach. Never to dominate. He looked at her. That's what makes us different. Not better. Just different. The observation deck showed the new council flag being raised outside the station. An olive branch wrapped around a sword, peace and strength together. Below it, in hundreds of languages from across the galaxy, was written, never forget. Always forgive. Forever vigilant. Down on Earth, children in schools studied the new galactic history. They learned about the old council's arrogance, about the 12-hour war, about the year of rebuilding, about the choice humanity made to share power instead of hoarding it. They learned, as all human children learned, that the past mattered. That mistakes taught lessons. That strength without wisdom was tyranny, but wisdom without strength was helpless. They learned that the most dangerous warrior was the one who didn't want to fight, and the most powerful civilization was the one that chose to lift others up instead of pushing them down. Admiral Taemin watched a joint military exercise from the command center. Human ships flew alongside Valkyrie, Marathon, and 24 other species. They moved in perfect coordination, defending a simulated colony from a simulated threat. We spent 50 years hiding our true capabilities, he said to Jinho, pretending to be weaker than we were, just waiting for them to accept us. And then we spent 12 hours showing them what we really were, Jinho said. And now? Jinho watched the diverse fleet working together. Now we spend the rest of our lives showing them what we could all be together. That's the real victory. In the council chamber, the session had ended but delegates remained. Talking, laughing, sharing ideas, different voices, different perspectives, but all working toward the same goal. Hyunwoo took one last look at Earth before heading back inside. The planet that had been mocked, the species that had been dismissed, the civilization that had been called barbaric. They had proven themselves in the only way that mattered, not through conquest, through compassion, not through domination, through demonstration. The galaxy had learned its lesson. And humanity had learned something too. That the greatest strength wasn't the ability to destroy enemies, but the wisdom to transform them into friends. The war had lasted 12 hours. The peace would last forever, or at least, They would do everything in their power to make sure it did.